Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. If you're quick, you can do it in less than 30 minutes. It took me actually 31 minutes to get this pasta baked in the oven. So if it's difficult for you to cook dinner quickly, stay tuned, watch until the end, because I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. That is an order of what you do first, what you do next, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to get it done today in 30 minutes. So first, the ingredients. I start with 3/4 of a pound of a short pasta. This is orecchiette, and you can use also penne or something short like that. And then half a cup of onion. That's what I put in the pot next, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then half a pound of ground beef and half a pound of Italian sausage. I like the sweet. And then 3 cloves of garlic and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. That's going to make the sauce actually cling to your pasta. It changes the texture. It's delicious. And then I'm also going to add 1 cup of beef broth, which is what makes it taste as if it cooked all day. The sauce is delicious, and that's what does it. And then a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. I prefer crushed tomatoes for this because it helps to cook quicker, as well as parsley, flat leaf parsley. And then 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese that you're going to layer with the pasta, a 1/4 cup of Parmesan, and that's a 9-inch baking dish that you're going to layer the pasta in. And this is like lasagna, but better. So the first thing you do is that you put a pot on to boil. So put it on high heat. You can see that my heat is pretty high there, and just a regular pot on to boil. And that's the first thing you do. Wait for it to come to a boil. And in the second pot, I am adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And this is going to be for the onions first. I like to saute the onions and make sure that they get nice and cooked for about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to add them next. I'm only using about half a cup of onion for this amount of beef and sausage. So I don't like too much onion in my sauce. I think a little bit is good, but I prefer the flavor of garlic. But the onion gives it a nice savoriness that I enjoy. I just don't use too much of it. And you can choose how large you cut the onion. If you like it a little more diced more finely, you can do that as well. Mine is just chopped. So now it's been 2 or 3 minutes and it's cooked a little bit. So now I'm adding the ground beef and the Italian sausage. It's half a pound of each. So you're going to break it up with a spoon, and I'm showing you how to do it there. This takes a little bit of time, 2 or 3 minutes again, and this sauce comes together in about 10 minutes, and then it cooks for another about 15 minutes. It's very easy to do, and you can have dinner on the table in actually half an hour. So I will tell you when to turn on the broiler, because this goes under the broiler. I will tell you when to do everything so that you can actually get it on the table in that amount of time. And I love 30-minute meals. It's something that I need as often as I can, because even though I cook pretty much 6 nights a week, it's something that I do very often. It's nice to have the flexibility of making a dinner that doesn't take 2 hours or 3 hours to make, even though I enjoy that as well. It's nice to have a more complicated recipe to cook, and that's good for me. I enjoy cooking, so sometimes that's good. But if it's Tuesday night and I'm super tired, then I'm going to go with a 30-minute meal. So I wait for this to cook for about 2 minutes, just until the pink kind of goes away, and I'm adding 3 cloves of garlic. So the garlic is going to cook for about 30 seconds. It doesn't need more than that. That pan is really hot, as you can see. So you have to watch it carefully. If you burn garlic, unfortunately, you have to throw everything out and start all over again, because there's nothing worse than it. And wash the pot too, because it sticks to it. Now I'm adding 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, which makes the sauce have a great texture. So that's why it clings to the pasta and you don't get a pool of liquid at the bottom of the baking dish. Have you ever made lasagna and it turned out that way? It's because there wasn't enough tomato paste in your sauce. That's why it happens. And also, if you use ricotta in a baking dish like that, then the ricotta can weep as well, and then you end up with all of that liquid. I don't use ricotta in this dish. I only use mozzarella sauce because I'm trying to get it done in half an hour. But I think this is much easier than lasagna, and you take 30 seconds, 1 minute to layer the pasta in the baking dish, and you get the same result, and it's super quick. So I'm letting the tomato paste cook there and fry a little bit in the bottom of the pot, and you want to do that to give it depth. And now I'm adding the secret here. It's the beef broth, 1 cup of beef broth, and it makes this sauce taste as if it cooked for an hour, and it only cooks for 15 minutes with everything in there. And you also are deglazing the bottom of the pot. That means that all of the little pieces that are stuck to the bottom are coming up because of the beef broth. And now I'm adding a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. I prefer crushed for this, as I just told you. Some people prefer whole tomatoes that they crush themselves. You can do that as well, but it's just going to add time to this dish. And crushed for this is perfect. So now I like to add the parsley at this point. So that's about a 1/4 cup of parsley, and I made a mess there with the parsley. I'll try to put that back into the pot. It was very hot, so that goes back into the pot, and I like to cook it together with the sauce instead of adding it at the end. If I were adding basil, I would wait until the end to add it, but the parsley is nice cooked in it. So by this point, my water is boiling. I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. Salt your pasta water well. It should taste like the ocean. And then I'm adding 3/4 of a pound of orecchiette. And a short pasta is best for this. You can also make this with spaghetti if that's all you have on hand. That's fine. A long pasta will work as well. So leave that to come back up to a boil. This is what the sauce looks like. I put a screen over the top, and because that bubbles up very furiously. So now the pasta has been drained, and I'm adding it to the sauce. At this point, you turn on your broiler. You give it 2 or 3 minutes, just the time that it takes you to layer the pasta with the cheese in the baking dish. So before you do this, turn on your broiler and just mix up the pasta. Make sure you we have the sauce going all over, because that's what's going to make your dish taste really good. I don't like to put red sauce just on top of pasta. A lot of people do that. Like, you see like a whole pot of spaghetti with just a little puddle of sauce in the middle. I've never been able to understand that. You have to mix the pasta in the pot. And now I'm going to layer it. So I have that baking dish. I don't grease it. I don't put anything on it. You can if you want to. So I'm just putting about half the pasta, and you just eyeball it into the baking dish. And then I'm going to cover it with half the mozzarella. I have 1.5 cups total. So just eyeball it. Just go with what you have there. So this makes a layer in the center that's all cheese, and then half the Parmesan cheese. I think it gives it a great tanginess to the dish to add the Parmesan as well as the mozzarella cheese. And then I'm going to add the rest of the pasta on top. So you make 2 layers. It tastes like lasagna. You have a meat sauce. You have all of the ingredients, but you're not, making 3 different types of ingredients to all layer together into 4 or 5 different layers. That takes a lot of time. And I love lasagna, don't get me wrong, but you have to have the time to do it. This is a weeknight meal that you can make in about 30 minutes. So it comes in handy, at least for me. I'm busy, I have a lot to do, and I don't have time to cook on weeknights that I do during the weekend. So recipes like this one are perfect for what I like to cook during the week. So if you enjoy cooking, this is fun. It's fun to make. It's your own tomato sauce instead of opening up a jar, even though there is a time and place for that as well. So now I'm adding the rest of the mozzarella and the rest of the Parmesan cheese. So this is just going to go under the broiler for about 3 to 5 minutes. If your broiler has been on for probably 5 minutes, then, which it should be at this point, then you're going to have to watch it carefully. So don't walk away. Don't go talk to someone. Don't go look at your phone. Make sure you're watching it. And this is before it goes into the broiler or under the broiler. This is what it looks like, just with the cheese on top. And it's going to brown. It's going to look really good, and this is what it looks like when it comes out. So I left it under the broiler for about 3 to 5 minutes, which brought me to 31 minutes from start to finish with this recipe. So it was great to make. We were ready to have dinner. Everybody was hungry. So it was bubbling, and I'm going to show you what it looks like once I cut it. I actually finished it in 31 minutes and I let it cool for about 5 because I wanted everything to be nice and married together. And I'll show you that there is no liquid on the bottom. That's what I wanted you to see. And this is what it looks like at the end. And I love how it looks and I loved how it tasted. Everyone loved it. It's a great dish to make. Make sure you look at the recipe in the description box and come back for more recipes. I love to cook Italian. I cook and I bake and I post 2 to 3 times a week depending on how my schedule goes. But thank you so much for being here if you've made it until the end, and I hope to see you soon.